Hi, today is the 8th of July and it's also the day of the Durham Miners Gala, an event which I hadn't heard a great deal about until recently. But it transpires that two of my friends, neither of whom know each other, are actually at this event today, participating in many of the different things that are going on there, including hearing Jeremy Corbyn do a speech, which I believe attracted thousands of people, and it's been one of the biggest miners' galas they've had for some time. Now, this event very much observes and preserves the traditions of the mining community, even though in this country we don't have a coal mining industry anymore. You go there and you find there's still the brass bands, there's a lot of union activity, there's marching, there's music, there's song. It's a day out for the family. There's all sorts of other stuff that kind of goes on around it as well. And it's something I'd very much be interested in attending in the next few years to come if I get the chance, because it sounds like a very interesting thing to do. In any case, I got to thinking about whether there was any song I could sing on Audio Boom related to this event in any way. And I was thinking about it last night. And I remembered a song I'd heard on the Dick Gaughan album True and Bold from 1986 called Farewell to Cotia. And these days, because I'm a little bit more discerning, I suppose, I like to sort of try and look up as much as I can about certain songs before I learn them to try and find out a little bit about the history and things like that. And so before I sing this, if you can bear with me waffling on for a short time, I'd like to tell you about what I found out concerning this song. So, the Cotia, as it was known, was the name of a colliery. And in a sense, it had a nickname within a nickname. Its real name was the Harriton Colliery in Durham, and it was called the Cotia, short for Nova Scotia, meaning New Scotland. And the reason it had this nickname of the Cotia was because although it was in the northeast of England, there were quite a high percentage of Scottish people that worked there, and that's why it got its name. Now, this colliery was opened, I believe, before 1794, and it finally came to a close in 1965. The song itself was written by a guy called Jock Purdon, and Jock actually worked in the colliery himself. So this was a song very much written from a collier's point of view as the mine was due to close. And when I looked at the notes on Dick Gaughan's website, Dick interestingly talks about the relationship that the colliery workers had with the mine that they worked in, which in a sense was very much a sort of love-hate relationship, because in one way it gave them a sense of pride and community because they all worked together and they were proud of what they achieved in terms of their output of coal and so on and so forth. But in another way, the mine was a means of them losing people, because if there was an explosion or a tunnel pit collapsed or anything like that and people lost their lives, then that would affect the whole community. And this relationship that men had with the colliery that they worked in is something really that can only properly be understood by anybody that's ever worked in one. I wouldn't even attempt to understand it. We can only imagine what it must have been like to go down there in the dark every day and hew out coal. But anyway, Jock Purdon wrote this. He set it to, it's been set to a traditional tune, which is the same tune as Come All Ye Tramps and Hawkers, which I'm sure some of you listening to this will know. And I know of a couple of other folk songs that have been set to this tune as well. Now, the Dick Gaughan version only has 3 verses. It may be that there are more. I don't know. And Dick's not very well at the moment, so I can't really ask him with regard to whether there are any more lyrics to this than he's already sung. But I would be really interested if anybody knows of this gentleman and has any connections with any other songs that he's written that they could let me have. because I do like this kind of music very much. So the song itself refers to Robin's Merry Men, and I wondered at first if this was a kind of pun on Robin Hood, and in a way it sort of is. But I then found out that Alf Robins at the time was the head of the coal board, and when the Harriton closed, he came to the colliery and basically said to the lads, look, if you all move down to Nottingham, I'll give you jobs, you can set up home again, you'll have bright new futures, etc. So that is the reference there, but I think there may be also a slight pun with it being Nottingham, and his name being Robins, which is very similar to Robin, etc., etc. Now, I just want to say a little bit here about Dick's album True and Bold, because the reason it was recorded in 1986 was to try and bring some of the Scottish mining songs back into the community. Because what he and other folk musicians were finding was that they were going and playing in a lot of these miners' institutes and union places and so on. And a lot of the lads didn't know many of the songs that they were singing. And considering that a lot of these songs were written by mine workers, it was thought that it would be a good idea to put together a collection of Scottish mining songs to sort of bring these songs back into the communities that they were written about. And that's why the album was recorded and why Dick was asked to record the album. And in the notes of the album, Dick talks about his own part in the miners' strike now of 1984. So we're going way past 1965 when the Cotia was closed. But it's still relevant in a way because this is the album that this song was recorded on. And Dick talks about on a Saturday going into Leith in Edinburgh to collect food and money and then deliver it to Dalkeith, where they had a depot where it could be then given to the various people who were out of work because of the mine strikes. And many of the folk musicians of that time in the early 80s did get involved with the miners' strike in a very big way. So, I think it's great that Dick has made this collection. I like the album. I definitely think it's worth a listen. He does use keyboards on this track, which is not something I altogether like, because to me, it doesn't really go. But the way Dick sings it makes up for that. And I think, despite the fact it's such a short song, it's been very much written from the heart, and I think you'll be able to see that when you listen to the words. Ye brave bold men o' Cotia, the time is drawing near. You'll have to change your language, lads. You'll have to change your beer. But leave your pegs behind you, you'll no need them again. And off ye go to Nottingham, join Robin's merry men. Ye brave bold lads o' Cotia, the time is drawing thus. You'll have to change your banner, lads, and join the exodus. But leave your cares behind you, your future has been planned. And off ye go to Nottingham, to Robin's promised land. You brave bold men of Cotia, to you I bid farewell. And somebody will someday the Cotia story tell. But leave your cares behind you, the death knell has been tolled. Cotia was the colliery, her men were true and bold.